Hello and welcome to the Movie Mouth Film and TV podcast. We're back after a much needed Thanos-like break to reflect on the unprejudiced nature of the COVID-19 snap. From here on the garden-like planet of 0259S, where we've been whiling away the days as simple farmers, harvesting the Kawano fruit under our golden armor scarecrows, and gently touching the long grass as we move silently through our reflective state awaiting imminent decapitation. On this week's show, we will have three major watch-at-home movie reviews, including a film where Seth Rogan is actually pickled for 100 years, another where Shia Leboeuf actually tattooed his entire torso for a part, and a 2-year delayed Jamie Foxx superpower movie. What could possibly go wrong? Alongside these, we'll be discussing the latest film news, reviews, listener questions, trailer breakdowns, and have the hugely exciting James Cameron Arnold Schwarzenegger classic in our recurring video store corner section. This is your co-host Miles, and as ever, I am joined by a man who has seen horrors. The horror. And then I realized he was stronger than me because I could not stand that this was not a monster. This was a man, a trained cadre. This man who fought with his heart, who has a family, who has children, who is filled with love. But he had the strength to do that. If I had 10 divisions of this man, our troubles here would be over very quickly. You have to have men who are moral and at the same time who are able to utilize their primordial instincts to kill without feeling, without passion, without judgment. Because it's judgment that defeats us. Plus, he always loves the smell of napalm in the morning. It's Phil. Hi, Phil.
Hello.
Good day to you, sir.
Good day.
How the devil?
I'm all right. How are you?
Ooh. Yes.
Good.
What have you been watching this week?
I watched a trilogy this week.
Oh. Star Wars?
Can you? Nope.
Oh.
Guess again.
Back to the Future.
No, guess again. It's a later trilogy. It started in the 2000s.
Spider-Man.
No.
1, 2, and 3.
No.
Does it have something to do with a heist?
It does.
Oh. Are they going to take my diamonds? They're going to take my fucking diamonds!
Bang on. So I watched the Ocean's 11, 12, and 13 trilogy.
Wonderful.
Although there's been another film since, hasn't there?
There has.
The lady version.
Ocean's 8.
Yeah. I've not seen that
starring
yet.
Sandy Bullock.
Yeah. And yeah, I've not seen the Ocean. They were just on TV.
Right.
During our little break.
How did they hold up? I must admit, I haven't seen the first one in years, but
I love the first one. I remember seeing that when it came out. Great. Second one, not so great. Still definitely watchable, but it's not so great. Can you remember why that's not so great?
I will tell you exactly why, because for reasons that just still escape my mind, Steven Soderbergh thought it would be an amazing, incredible idea to have Julia Roberts play Julia Roberts, and the character Tess throughout the movie is basically everyone keeps coming up to her saying, hey Tess, you know who you look like? And throughout the whole movie she's like, yeah, I know, and then finally it's revealed that Bruce Willis and Julia Roberts are coming to, I believe, is it Venice or Monaco or somewhere?
They're in Rome.
Even better. So in Rome to do some kind of opening of some kind of museum exhibit or something. And so Julia Roberts goes undercover. I think they knock out the real Julia Roberts, and then Julia Roberts as Tess goes undercover.
No,
the cover. As
you
Julia
just
Roberts.
made it worse in your mind.
Please tell me they knock out Julia Roberts.
They have nothing to do with the real Julia Roberts.
Oh, that's a shame.
And they knock him out. No, but it's a bit ridiculous.
Who's the real Bruce Willis in this movie? Are there two Bruce Willises?
No, it's actually
what is the correct term for two Bruce Willises? Is it Willis-I?
Bruce Willis. Bruce Willie.
I'm going to go with Bruce Willis.
I'm going to go Bruce Willie.
And the third one, Ocean's 13, I have vague memories. All I remember is some kind of helipad showdown with Al Pacino,
Yeah,
who's
I had
painted Dayglow orange in the whole movie.
he really is. I mean, I had very vague memories of the third one. I'd definitely seen it before, but I can't remember when. But yeah, it was good. I liked it. Back to the casinos. They're all watchable. They're all pretty good. There's some clever bits. There's a lot of funny bits in it. I still like them.
What would you say is your favorite quote from the first Ocean's 11 movie?
I know you just look. You know what it is because you just set me up for it because you want to hear it, don't you?
I really want to hear it
Because
it's
we
a great
always
impression.
laugh about it. It's Andy Garcia when he finds out he's getting robbed, and he's on the phone to Brad Pitt, and Brad Pitt's like, "We're robbing you," and Andy Garcia says something like, I got one piece of advice for you: run and hide." Run. Run and hide.
Run and hide.
I say it to all of my enemies. Run and hide.
When you phone them,
When I phone them,
as they rob you.
As they rob me, that's what I say.
Well, I mean, I can't really beat that. I watched 2 seasons of Ant Middleton's Channel 4 show, SAS Who Dares Wins, the celebrity special, where they basically get celebrities to go through a shortened SAS basic training and selection course.
I've seen about 5 minutes of one of those and I had to turn it off. It featured Jordan and it was just the most painful thing ever to fucking watch.
Oh, it was pretty fun because she got thrown off a cliff, which was which was good. I say that having met her, and obviously she was very rude to me once. So, but other than that, I actually really love this. Obviously, used to be in the military myself, and so there's I remember a lot of good stuff about how they treat you and that kind of thing. Obviously, I wasn't in the SAS, but it's kind of part and parcel. So, but I've been really enjoying that. It's been good being back in Europe, watching some stuff that I missed out on over the last couple of years over in the US. So that was pretty fun. And other than that, I've nearly finished The Umbrella Academy season 2, which is kind of coming to its conclusion.
I need to get on that.
You need to get on that.
I did start season 2 of Happy though, because I finished season 1 on Netflix. So
as good.
I've only watched the first episode of season 2 so far, but yeah, it's just like it's the same thing, isn't it?
Same concept. Yeah, that's good. Always good.
Yeah,
more bang for your buck.
Indeed.
So let's jump to this week's listener question. This one comes in from friend of the show, Jason Kim. Hi, Miles and Phil. This week saw the release of the new Space Jam teaser where we see LeBron James wearing the new Toon Squad jersey. Yeah, I saw that. Didn't love the jersey.
I saw the photo.
Yeah.
I quite liked it. It was the Warner Brothers, like the Looney Tunes circles.
Yeah,
it?
But like the OG one was the white one with the circle like in the middle. That was Anyway, back to Jason. So this got me thinking. There have been many terrible remakes or reboots of classic movies over the last few years. What are your least favorites? And by the way, I'm going to also add best remakes to this because I think there's an interesting point of discussion. So over to you, Philip. What would you say are your least favorite remakes or reboots?
I'm going to list some off. Number 1, Old Boy.
Oh,
2013, Josh Brolin, wasn't it?
Yep.
Why? Why do they need to remake
this?
Why? The original is amazing. No need for that.
Incredible.
Going back to our video store corner of a few weeks ago, Point Break.
Yeah. Did you watch that?
I've not watched the remake.
It off after 5 minutes.
I've seen like a trailer and reviews of it, and it looks dire.
Yeah.
And it did really badly, didn't it?
Yeah, it also stars the star of The Last Days of American Crime as Bodhi.
Yeah.
Not watching that. I'm sorry. I'm not going to watch that.
No, never watched that. And then a couple of others. So Hulk 2000 there was Hulk the 2003 Eric Bana one, which was awful. And then they decided, well, that was pretty bad, wasn't it? That did really badly. So let's do another one in 2008 with Ed Norton.
Yeah.
Called The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
And it's a bit better, but it's still really bad.
Yes. Yes. I think, that, I mean, those two movies have their problems, but I think there's a lot to like. It's weird. I think there's a lot to like about the Ang Lee Hulk. I don't know why. There were things about it that I really liked.
I liked some of it. It was just bad. I liked the like the way they did the scenes in like the comic book style,
Right,
as the transitions and stuff was really cool.
right. I
Um,
liked as well. There was the fight between him, Eric Bana, and his dad, who was played by. Oh God, what's his name?
oh god, I can't even remember.
No,
Been
it's
ages since I've seen
amazing
it.
casting. Nick Nolte,
Ah,
and they end up fighting like in the clouds, like through a storm, and you see them like it very artistically shot and filmed. I liked about it, and you see them kind of fighting as the lightning strikes, but you don't see them beyond that. And I thought that like within the clouds, I thought that was really cool. I love the cast. I thought Jennifer Connelly was really good casting as Betty Ross.
yeah, yeah. The
Um,
casting wasn't bad. Eric Bana did a pretty good job. I
and
just
and yeah, no, yeah, I agree. For some reason that film, there's something about it I like, but I haven't seen it in a long time.
hmm.
And then, of course, the Incredible Hulk was from Louis Leterrier, who directed a ton of like the classic French kind of action movies. He also did the Transporter, the first one.
Oh yeah,
Actually, I think he did Transporter 2 as well, and he went on to do like Now You See Me and Clash of the Titans and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think there were a lot of issues with that. Predominantly, it related to, I think, Edward Norton again, kind of causing some, should we say, background issues with the production.
right.
He tends to on productions tends to command some form of creative control, which I
Okay.
don't think is a bad thing when you're Edward Norton. I think um, American History X is a really good example of that. You have the director was locked out of the final edit, and the final cut of American History X was actually done by Edward Norton.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and
The film's amazing.
an incredible film. And I think something similar happened with the Incredible Hulk, and there was a real creative kind of clash on this. Apparently, Louis Leterrier actually wanted Mark Ruffalo for the role of Bruce Banner originally, who obviously the role eventually went to in the first Marvel movie.
Mm.
Sorry, the first Avengers movie.
Yeah.
And and wasn't actually up for Edward Norton, who was insisted by the studio. But it would have been really interesting to have seen Edward Norton. I can't imagine seeing Edward Norton committing to all these movies in this series, beyond this kind of Hulk universe.
No.
But actually, what is quite interesting about it is that I listened to a podcast with Edward Norton a little while ago, and actually Edward Norton is a huge Incredible Hulk fan. Like he is like one of the world's biggest Incredible Hulk fans out there in the
Really?
world, which was really surprising, and therefore he really wanted to do a lot with the role, and sadly, obviously, it didn't work out.
Mm. So what about you then? What do you think? Bad remakes?
Well, where to begin? I think the for me the big one that was a real disaster zone was the Ghostbusters reboot or remake,
Mm.
the Paul Feig directed movie. And actually, this has nothing to do with the fact it's an all-female cast. Admittedly, I bloody love the original ones, and so whoever they put in this reboot, I would always struggle with. And
Yeah.
okay, it was a bit strange, rebooting it with all women, but I completely agree with that decision. My problem with the film is that it's not funny. The script is awful, and the
Yeah.
characters are awful. And it could have been, it could have been funny. And I don't know. I don't think it found an audience. It failed to pick up an audience,
Yeah.
which is bad for the franchise in general. But obviously now we have Jason Reitman's Ghostbusters continuation from the original
Yeah.
movies, which is cool.
I'm looking forward to that.
But this it felt very cynical. This Ghostbusters, it almost felt like almost felt like turning the nose up at the fans, at the people that wanted to see this movie, and kind of ripping it up and trying to give it to a completely new audience. Again, I have no issue with it being an all-female cast. Same with the Ocean's 8, conversation as well. I think I think they're great ideas. I just think that I'd love to see original content for all-female cast in that way, especially in the kind of action comedy genre.
Yeah, I think for me it was just that it was an actual like remake. It was like it wasn't just a continuation thing. It was just doing the same thing again.
Yeah,
I don't know. I didn't like it.
yeah,
I didn't like it.
and that's usually the issue with a lot of reboots. Is that it's almost done in a kind of cynical way. We just take the same building blocks and then have a different script and add some different elements. And
Yeah.
For that reason, that didn't work. Also, RoboCop remake.
I've still not seen that. I don't know if I want to really.
It is awful with Joel Kinnaman in the role, who I think has kind of struggled in kind of A-list or headline roles over the last few years. But that was just a really bad film. Ben-Hur, Timur Bekmambetov, who directed Wanted and some of those Russian vampire movies back in the day.
Yeah.
I want to say Night Watch, but
Night Watch,
is that right?
Yeah. Night Watch.
Yeah, which were amazing, stylized, but just a really bizarre. Ben-Hur, one of the highest grossing movies of all time, and one of the highest rated movies of all time. So those I would say. When we look at best, I think this is exactly what you just said. There's a fine line between success and failure with these reboots. For me, there are two who I think they absolutely nailed the remake, the reboot piece.
Mm.
I think probably the best that I've seen would be J.J. Abrams' Star Trek, the first one.
Yeah, do you know what? I forgot. I didn't really think about that when I was. Yeah, that was
Right.
great. That was fantastic.
Yeah, and fantastic in many ways. Firstly, because they cast it really well.
Yeah.
It looked gorgeous. It sounded gorgeous, but also the script was brilliant. So the script was written by Roberto Orci and Alex Kurtzman, who are two, real kind of trekkers, I should say. And what they did is they not only did they reboot and recreate, but they also tied in the original universe by creating this kind of time continuum.
Yeah.
Which for me it led to the fact that there's actually a continuation of the original cast, the original series. Obviously, Leonard Nimoy pops up at a later point as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it started this whole Kelvin timeline, which is where, of course, Kirk's father, played by Chris Hemsworth, if you remember, who's actually one of his first kind of big major Hollywood roles. Obviously dies at the beginning because of Eric Bana again, that bastard Eric Bana, playing Nero. His ship obviously collides with the Kelvin, which is commanded by Kirk's father. So the way they did that was absolutely genius, and obviously there've been some missteps since then. I really want to see a continuation of that. I think I really love the cast. I really love the kind of effort that Paramount put behind those productions.
Yeah,
I think that was great. I think that's by far and away the best remake. The other one would be Casino Royale, which I don't know if that's actually, if you could actually call that a remake, because of course the original Casino Royale was very much played for laughs. So there's that aspect to it. But I do think the way in that they kind of rebooted Bond, or Blonde, as I should call him, was fantastic. It took on board, a lot of the development that the Bourne franchise has brought to this character, to the spy genre. I think it lit a fire under the Mission Impossible franchise as well. So I think Daniel Craig has never been better as in a Bond movie. I think that is for sure the best Bond movie, and for Daniel Craig, and also interestingly directed by my favorite Bond director, Martin Campbell, who directed GoldenEye as well, who also he actually rebooted Bond before with Brosnan, of course. So
Yeah.
so that those, and then finally, slightly different note, I would say the remake of Infernal Affairs,
The
which is
Departed.
yes, and Infernal Affairs is a fantastic movie. It's actually a fantastic trilogy.
It's amazing, that trilogy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean I saw all of them before because obviously we worked in a video store at the time, and we we happened to watch everything. And then I remember when The Departed came out, and knowing the fate of Leo's character, having watched Infernal Affairs already, but
Yeah.
it took a little bit off of it. But having rewatched The Departed over the years, it's a fucking brilliant movie. So
Yeah, I really
would
like
say
that.
one. And also tough to go from a foreign language movie remake into an English language movie with a Hollywood budget. We saw that also with Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise, another film that's also remade that I love. People generally tend to hate, but I absolutely love. So that's what I'd say for my favorites. How about you?
I've got well, going back to Ocean's 11, I think that's a pretty good remake. Is the
True story. Yeah.
1960 Sinatra, Davis Jr., Dean Martin, and Cesar Romero's in that as well. What a cast that is.
Did he have white face paint over his moustache?
I hope so.
like the Joker in the 60s Batman series.
What else have I got? True Grit. I thought was great. I really enjoyed True Grit.
Yeah. Great shout. The Coens.
Yeah. And obviously...
True Grit. It's True Grit. With me, Jeff Bridges. Why does Jeff Bridges always sound like he's got a mouth full of something? It's like got cotton wool in my mouth.
Yeah, it sounds like you got a mouthful of cotton wool or something, doesn't it?
Cotton wool, sugar water. Give me some of that sugar water. I said, don't do that. Don't do that.
That's Men in Black. That's Vincent D'Onofrio from Men in Black.
Yeah.
Not the remake.
And then I think we discussed this a few weeks ago, but Dredd, the 2012 Carl Urban Dredd, being the remake of the
Drop Dead Fred.
Well, not a remake, sort of just like a reimagining of the awful Stallone 90s Dredd. And I loved that.
The Rob Schneider starring Judge Dredd.
Oh, it's so bad. I'm just going to gloss over it. But yeah, so there's that. And then I think one of the best is The Thing.
Oh, not the remake of the remake of the remake.
No. Like the Kurt Russell 1982 John Carpenter's The Thing, which is an absolutely phenomenal horror film.
Yeah.
It's a remake of The Thing from Another World from 1951.
Nice.
It's based on, I think. So I think that's pretty high up there because that film is fantastic.
Oh, speaking of a film like that, Scarface, also a remake.
Yeah.
Of an old 1930s gangster pic, see?
You see?
You called Scarface, see? I had octopus coming out of my fucking ears in Cuba.
So there we go. I think that's a good list.
Great list. If you haven't seen any of those, check them out. I mean, not Ghostbusters or RoboCop remakes.
Not the bad ones.
But definitely Casino Royale, Star Trek, The Departed, True Grit, amazing. Dredd, freaking amazing. The Thing. If you haven't seen The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, you need to get on that. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
What a movie. Don't watch the remake if you find there's actually another remake of that. So don't watch that. Sure. Watch the Carpenter Thing. So thanks again for that question. Keep those questions coming on in. We love answering them. We love thinking about them. We're going to jump into the news section right now. And actually, I'm going to segue from the remake reboot straight into news. And this is the news that Kevin Hart and Will Smith...
No, I know what you're going to say.
Oh, Jesus! Will star in the Planes, Trains, and Automobiles remake from Brooklyn Nine-Nine writer Ayesha Carr.
Oh, God.
My heart.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Stop it, Daddy.
John Candy would not agree.
So, on this one, there's no news yet on who is playing Del Griffith, of course, played by the amazing John Candy, or the uptight Neil. But the kind of current consensus is that Will Smith will play the Del Griffith character and Kevin Hart will play the more uptight character, which is interesting. It's an interesting spin. But nonetheless, do we need it? Does it need to happen?
No.
I mean, no.
Not in any way, shape, or form does it need to happen.
Just make another road trip movie with these two amazing actors, with this amazing, writer, and
do not sully the name of that great film.
Exactly. We already had that with Due Date with Zach Galifianakis and Robert Downey Jr., which was kind of the same vibe. So we definitely don't need that. Also, some news coming out of the Spider-Verse, which is obviously kind of Sony's way of kind of breaking out this Into the Spider-Verse Spider-Man universe. That Olivia Wilde, the actress from or actor from Tron Legacy and many other movies, is actually directing an unnamed Spider-Verse movie for Sony. She's just signed on. She directed the excellent coming-of-age high school comedy Booksmart a year or so ago, which was very well applauded. Unfortunately, was very little seen, but you can see that in the US. You can see it on Hulu. In Europe, I guess you can find that somewhere. But that's really worth a watch. So, great news for her picking up a big franchise like Spider-Man with a Spider-Verse movie, whatever that means. Whether it's animated or whether it's going to be a real world movie, we don't know. There's also big news at Netflix with the Night Manager breakout star Elizabeth Debicki, who's just signed on to play Princess Diana in seasons 5 and 6, which I think is phenomenal casting, because not only does she have that kind of regal, very, very straight postured, upright look about her, but she also has a very similar facial features and look to Princess Diana. So I think that's going to be great casting. They've nailed the casting really in The Crown so far, and that will be seasons 5 and 6, which they're still working on season 4, which is coming out later this year. But season 5 and 6 is also announced that Imelda Staunton will be playing Queen Elizabeth II.
Oh, that's right. I read that. Yeah.
Yeah. She's always great. And Jonathan Pryce will be playing Prince Philip. He's bloody what? Hither and dither and blither. I don't know, Lizzie, bloody Africa or something, or where we are. So that could be an interesting one. Definitely looking forward to that. I don't think season 5 and 6 is going to air before 2022 with the current COVID issues that are stopping a lot of productions at the moment.
Yeah.
So we might not see that for some while yet. Before we come on to the trailers, Phil, have you picked up anything, any other news with your Phil-like radar?
With my little radar. Only a couple of little bits. So Lawrence Fishburne said in an interview that he wasn't invited back to reprise his role as Morpheus in Matrix 4.
They gave him the red pill.
They did. They were like, have that. You're not coming back.
You take the red
pill.
Which
is a shame, because
you go back to your life.
Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss are on board. So it's a shame, I think. If they're going to...
But they're both fucking dead. I think Morpheus was the only one that was alive at the end of the last one, wasn't he?
Well,
It was just Morpheus and a load of people dancing in a cave. That's all I remember.
Anything can happen in the Matrix. Yeah, but that's so that's a bit, I don't know. Some people might think that's a good idea.
I mean, did Neo die because his heart was still, there was still fire, there was still light there, wasn't there, when the machines took him away?
Oh, it doesn't matter, does
Do you
it?
remember?
It's Hollywood. It's like when Harold Bishop came back into Neighbours. Do you remember that?
Harold! Hello, Madge. How you doing?
Oh, Madge,
I've been fucking Lou Carpenter for the last 10 fucking years.
I got washed out to sea and I've came back.
I remember being absolutely harrowed by that as a kid. I remember seeing harrowed by Harold. I remember seeing Harold's glasses wash up on the beach. Do you remember that?
Yeah. It's like, Harold,
Madge, I've been washed out to sea. Harold!
Do you know, though, right, sorry, very slight quick segue. Do you know that there is a really, really low budget horror film that a friend of mine has, and we watched it a few years ago, and it's got Harold Bishop in it. This is sort of like during Neighbours' time, I think.
What?
I think it's like early 90s. And it's really funny because
Is
he plays this.
a psycho?
Yeah, he's like a sort of psycho. He's like a scientist guy, and he actually swears in it. And I remember laughing so much because it was Harold Bishop, like the Salvation Army do-goody two shoes Harold Bishop. And he's in it.
Question. Is it called Bash the Bishop?
It should be, but it's not. I can't remember what it's called. That's really annoying me. But I remember him saying "fuck the cops" when the cops were on him.
Ooh, fuck the cops. He actually swears.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, Harold,
Harold, no! You're supposed to be in the. Wasn't he in the Salvation Army?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Madge, I'm going to go up the Sally Army tonight and play my trombone
or whatever he played.
It was a tuba.
That's right. Of course.
Anyway, sorry, segue off of Matrix 4 to Harold Bishop. Matrix 4 is going to be released April the 1st, 2022.
Ooh.
And in another release date that I've got, Bill and Ted, the new Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Wild Stallions.
Which I'm really looking forward to that. It's
new trailer so much better. Looks so much better than the original trailer.
Yeah. And that's due for release in the UK on September the 23rd this year, and on video on demand in the US on August the 28th.
Cool.
It's actually not long at all, is it?
Cool. No, we're going to be watching that. Yeah, 8
Yeah.
days. Oh, we will be reviewing that. We'll probably be reviewing that next week.
Yeah.
Incredible. Exciting.
That's all the news I have.
Dem news there. Yeah, trailer wise, I saw the Death on the Nile trailer, which is the kind of sequel or the follow up to the Murder on the Orient Express, which was both of which directed by Ken Branagh, also starring Ken Branagh as Hercule Poirot has been a murderer. This has a great ensemble, just like Murder on the Orient Express, with the lead seemingly being taken by Wonder Woman herself, Gal Gadot. Armie Hammer's in there, Annette Bening, Letitia Wright, of course, from Black Panther, who's absolutely amazing in that. Dawn French and Jennifer Saunders, and the amazing Emma Mackey from Netflix's Sex Education, getting a kind of major motion picture role here, which is awesome to see. Movie looks fun. Trailer doesn't give much away, but this is a film that's been made, I think, 3 or 4 times over. But looks fun. There's plenty of kind of Gatsby-like jazz and champagne, and we're all having a jolly good time type affair. But looking forward to it. Looks pretty good. I also picked up today on the brand new trailer that debuted for the Sofia Coppola comedy On the Rocks. Obviously, Sofia Coppola directing Lost in Translation, Marie Antoinette, and among many others. Here, starring Bill Murray and Rashida Jones. And this is basically about a young New York mother who's faced with sudden doubts about her marriage to Marlon Wayans in a really interesting kind of indie comedy role, which is cool to see. So she teams up with her larger-than-life playboy father, here played by, of course, the amazing Bill Murray, to kind of follow her husband and figure out whether or not he is cheating on her. It looks like a really kind of bittersweet comedy about relationships, fun, maybe slight kind of indie laughs aplenty. The trailer looks good, looks fun, looks light, breezy, great music. They also released the theme song written by Phoenix. Of course, Sofia Coppola's husband is the lead singer, Thomas Mars. So that's awesome. And that is going to debut on Apple TV Plus and cinemas sometime in October. So it will be available on both, seemingly, depending on, I guess, your location. So looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for that. I thought it looked good. I saw a couple of comedies, actually. I picked up on one. Actually comes out this month on the 28th as well. It's called Get Juked, and this is it looks a bit mental. It's a black comedy which is about sort of four city youths that are on I think they're on obviously the Duke of Edinburgh Award or whatever it is from in schools over here in the UK well, not schools, is it? You do the Duke of Edinburgh Award, don't you? Which is like an outdoors thing. I don't even know what it is, really,
Yeah.
to be honest. I never did it. But
You don't go outdoors.
I just sit here to watch film trailers. Yeah, so they're out in Scotland, and they then start getting hunted by this crazy huntsman called... actually, I don't know what his name is, but he's played by Eddie Izzard. It just looks mental. Watch the trailer. Like, they take... I don't know if they eat some berries or eat some goat crap or something, but it sends them all on like some massive trip. And they're wearing...
been there. Fucking goat's crap always does it to me. Every time I eat goat's crap.
And it looks crazy, but it looks pretty funny. So that's coming out on Amazon Prime on the 28th.
Cool. And what's that called again?
It's called Get Duked.
Get Duked.
Yeah.
Get Duked.
So yeah, that looks pretty funny.
Okay.
Different. And then the other one I saw was for The War with Grandpa.
Oh yeah, I saw this.
Have you seen this? So and I think it's a typical sort of family comedy, isn't it? And it looks a bit like a cross between... It's like a cross between National Lampoons and Home Alone, from what it looks at. So it stars Robert De Niro. Actually, it's got a really good cast. It's Robert De Niro plays the grandpa. You got Uma Thurman, Christopher Walken, and Jane Seymour in it as well. And it's about a grandpa that has to move in with his family, and he takes his grandson's bedroom, which his grandson isn't very happy about at all. So
does he say, "I have nipples, grandson. Can you milk me?"
So basically they go on like a pranking war to try and get the grandpa out, but the grandpa teams up with some of his old friends.
Oh my god!
And it looks entertaining enough. It looks pretty good. I don't know.
Really?
Do you think not? Oh, I don't know. I know it's De Niro, and
I'll tell you what's weird when you come back to Europe and you start watching TV commercials. You start seeing commercials that they don't have in the US because a lot of these big name actors, for example, like George Clooney used to be in all the Nespresso commercials.
Yeah.
He wasn't in the Nespresso commercials in the US until years and years after that, after we used to see him. And it's almost like he doesn't want to be seen as a sellout or something. De Niro is in these Kia Nero commercials, which is so weird because...
they're awful. They're awful as well.
Right. Yeah. You said you're looking for a trendy De Niro. And he's like, no, it says the new trendy Nero from Kia. It's a car. Like,
yeah, it's
and De
terrible.
Niro's there in like De Niro's there like mugging himself off in like a woolen hat and a pair of braces.
I mean, I really don't get it with these guys. I just saw an advert for Just Eat, the home delivery food service. And
Right.
Snoop
Doggy Dog.
Why does he need the money to do that?
Don't know.
Why does De Niro need the money for a Kia advert? Why does George Clooney need to sell coffee machines?
Well, I mean, De Niro's going through a very high-profile divorce at the moment, so...
Well, maybe,
yeah.
But speaking of that War with Grandpa, it's good to see Uma Thurman back, because I've not seen her in anything for a
she's
while.
in it?
Yes, she plays
Friend
his
of the
daughter.
show, Uma Thurman.
Yeah. She plays De Niro's daughter.
Cool. Okay. It's getting better.
Christopher Walken's in it as well. It looks good. It looks like it could be funny.
Too nice. Okay, that was the film trailer and news section. Let's jump into reviews, and we've got a lot to catch up on due to our extended summer hiatus. So I'll get things kicked off with The Tax Collector, which is the David Ayer movie starring Barry Soto and Shia Leboeuf as Mexican cartel tax collectors. Basically, two shadowy enforcers who we follow around modern-day LA as they skim the cream off the takings of local gangs until a bold move of power from a rival cartel boss sets up a cat-and-mouse game of vengeance and brutality in the streets. Those who are new to Ayer's process of writing and directing a one for me, one for the studio style, he seemingly kind of moves from one big budget studio pick, such as a Netflix's Bright, Training Day, End of Watch, or DC's Suicide Squad, to a down and downright dirty, independently produced crime movie set on America's Pacific West Coast. See Harsh Times, Street King, Sabotage. And you'll find little of note here. His typical format of two guys cruising the streets of LA in a vehicle, getting into hijinks, always feels real and creates true camaraderie between his cast. See Fury and the behind the scenes bromance that was built amongst the cast there. And here is no exception. But where this falters is with its script, which admittedly takes too long to get going. This is almost 45 minutes in before anything of any note happens. And we're simply going along for the ride, which feels more like hard work than a pleasure to watch. I don't really want to be at work collecting taxes for the cartel, and it's kind of just going through that whole process was a little bit boring. Secondly, this is let down by the somewhat lightweight lead performance of Barry Soto's David, the heir to the throne apparent of the cartel, as yet not earning his stripes as a tough-as-nails cartel enforcer, and neither does Barry, our lead. Where the script calls for real emotion, and believe me, he goes through fucking hell, we see very one-note performances, and the cracks start to show, especially when he's tag-teamed on screen with the excellent Shia Leboeuf as Creeper. What a name. What a name. Here, at his most Leboeufness, all intensity and teary-eye filled malevolent rage, he's a credit to this picture and simply does not deserve the call-outs that many critics have aimed at him for this movie and its performance. Sadly, we never really see what Creeper is capable of. There's a lot of bravado and kind of background to this character. And with the character now receiving one of the most anticlimactic send-offs not seen since Jack Torrance dug his axe into his son's shining savior, having just arrived at the Overlook Hotel. One element I do want to praise this movie for is the soundtrack and the cinematography, all of which gives this movie a lot of presence. And also, for Barry Soto trying to be his most menacing by bringing us the immortal line, "I've seen motherfuckers skinned alive, dipped in acid, with their arms and legs chainsawed off, rolling around like a seal pup crying for mama." Their arms and legs chainsawed off, rolling around like a seal pup.
Dipped in acid?
Yeah.
I mean, fucking hell.
I laughed at that moment.
I bet. I would have laughed.
At that moment, as we do when we review these things, I had to pause, write down the note, copy the dialogue, and laughed again. There was a lot to like in the trailer, and when the bullets start flying, this could be a fun watch with a strong performance from Shia LaBeouf. Sadly, it's an extremely unbalanced film, and with the right central performer and a better script, this could have been a recommendation. But sadly, it's another one of Ayer's one-for-me movies, which never quite gets to a point of being neither strong or rewatchable. So this is a miss from the Movie Mouth podcast. Coming up next, Phil, you sat down to watch Project Power. What's this one all about?
I did. So this is the new, well, I say new, I think it was actually filmed about 2 years ago and finished. They've only just
always a good sign. Always a good sign. It's been in the can for 2 years. When should we finally release this? I know, when there's a global pandemic.
Just do it now. Yeah. So yeah, it's new to Netflix. It's released when was it? Friday, the 14th of August. And it's set in New Orleans. It centers around character Robin, played by Dominique Fishback. And she plays a streetwise, reluctant dealer of a new drug pushed in the form of a pill, which grants the taker of it a random superpower that lasts for 5 minutes. That 5 minutes does seem very exact as well in the film.
Yeah.
It also stars Jamie Foxx. He does a great job, I think, playing the Major, a distraught ex-soldier trying to find his kidnapped daughter. And also stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and he does a good job playing Frank, a slightly unhinged New Orleans cop who wants to track down the people responsible for the creation of the drug. I think the film has a lot of potential, and I was really excited when I saw the trailer. But I think it's let down by a bit of a generic story. It's just... and the script's not great. I just found myself wanting to see a bit more. It's got a lot of action in it, but it didn't go where I thought it was going to. I thought you were going to see a lot more of the people taking the pill and the different powers that could be involved. And it just didn't go where I was expecting it to go, which isn't always a bad thing. I just think, it just had a lot of potential, wasn't there. But it does have, I think, what does save it is some really good performances. Standout being Dominique Fishback. I think she's really good in it. The special effects also look great. There's some really good set pieces and slow-mo action scenes that are all really good. And when you do see the people taking the pill, there's some really good special effects. I won't go into them just because of spoilers and stuff. But there's one scene in particular I really liked, which it's a scene around a glass chamber, basically. You'll find out why when you watch it. But I really loved that scene, the way it was filmed from inside the chamber while the action was going on the outside, and the sort of camera panning round, and you're getting little snippets of action through the glass. And I really, really enjoyed that. I thought that was a great cinematography part. It's got a good pace to the film. It never felt sluggish. It runs just under 2 hours, I think, but that felt about right for what it was. So, yeah, I mean, in essence, I think it promised a lot more than it delivered, but I still found it enjoyable. I don't think it's a film that's going to be remembered for long. If it was out at cinemas at the moment, it'd be that kind of watch and forget type, go there on a Saturday afternoon and watch a film and then you've seen it. But with the slowing down of the industry due to the pandemic and everything, I think it's good to see something of, this sort of high budget, because I think it had a budget of about 85 million. So it's good to see something of this caliber come into Netflix to watch at home. So I recommend it as a watch. It's not fantastic, but I do recommend it. I thought it was enjoyable. I think I enjoyed it a lot more than you did.
Yeah. I was definitely less positive on this one. 85 million budget. Is that true?
I think so.
Wow.
Apparently.
This film looked like shit. It looked like it had been filmed on someone's like home camcorder. The cinematography was awful. And I watched this. I bought a new projector, and I watched this at 150 inches blown up, and it looked terrible. Really, really bad. It completely took me out of it how bad the cinematography was on this. The camera was all over the shop. It was hard to really get a grip on what was going on. Characters were popping up left, right, and center. The dialogue was toilet. There was a scene where Joseph Gordon-Levitt almost turns to the camera and someone asks him why he's so dedicated. And he's like, "It's my city. I die for my city," or something like that. And it was, oh my God.
That was pretty bad.
There's also a veterinarian-based rap scene in the middle of all of the chasing and action that's going on for no apparent reason, that just completely left my chin on the floor. Like, what's happening here? Jamie Foxx turns to Dominique Fishback, who's good in this, by the way, and her rapping is clearly amazing. But I don't really need to see in the middle of a tense, chase movie, one character turn to another and give them a word to rhyme in order to create a rap, in order to give her, the power to be self-empowered and moving forward with her with her rap career. It just felt really out of place and just cliche and awful. And then you're absolutely right. When it comes to the premise, this could have been really good. It could have been a lot better. It reminded me of a lot of movies that have kind of come out and almost touched the kind of superhero genre, but failed. Hancock is another one, the Will Smith movie.
Yeah,
kind of reminded me a bit of that. And then the background on this power itself. And I'm gonna give a little spoiler, and feel free to skip ahead by like 30 seconds or whatever on your podcast player. But this isn't a huge spoiler; it's a very small one. But this pill, the powers from this pill come from animals from all over the world, and some people, for example, can, for no apparent reason, set themselves on fire or become bulletproof or whatever. We go through this whole movie trying to figure out like that without knowing. And I'm not going to tell you what his power actually is, what it actually does. But we go through this whole movie without knowing what this pill will do to Jamie Foxx if he takes it. there's a scene where he explains to someone that's kind of arrested him and tied him up what animal it comes from. And do you remember the animal that his power comes from?
I'm going to let you tell her.
Jamie Foxx's power in this comes from a shrimp. And it's not played for laughs. He's like, "You ever hear of the pistol shrimp?" This guy uncuffs him. He's like, "No fucking way, a pistol shrimp."
Oh no!
I expected fucking Bubba to walk in and go, fried shrimp, fries and shrimp, eggs and shrimp, shrimp potatoes, pistol shrimp.
Dear.
A shrimp. Yeah. It should have been called Prawn Power, not Project Power. But,
Shrimp Man.
Just Prawn Power. Shrimp Project Power : Shrimp Man.
Yeah.
Do
you know what?
Hated it.
Yeah, well, I get that. I think, you definitely hated it more than I did. But my wife had a good comment because we watched it together, and at the end of it, she was like, really felt like someone was watching Terminator a lot when they wrote this. Because when you think about it,
right,
Jamie Foxx sort of looks after Dominique Fishback being the kid, and he's pretty badass in it, isn't he? So it's got that sort of,
Is he though? Because they all rely on Dominique Fishback, this hard police officer and this the major, whoever he is, wherever he comes from,
the military.
Yeah, I mean, spoiler alert. But all of the primary cast, these people that are all super capable and have super fucking powers, for some reason they all rely on this 16-year-old fucking rapper, for no apparent reason. I don't even know why.
I think,
you gotta come with us. We gotta go infiltrate this dockyard, and you gotta be my eyes. Why?
Wrap me out of any situation.
Oh.
But yeah,
sorry.
It felt like that because of Terminator, and also she gave a good point because at one point, again, a slight spoiler. I don't think it really matters, but she patches him up in a vet's surgery, which happens in, was it Terminator 3?
I blocked Terminator 3 out of my fucking memory. I don't remember.
Yeah, Claire Danes is a vet.
Yeah, she is. That's right.
She patches up John Connor in a vet's surgery.
That's right.
So there's a couple of little comparisons there.
Weird. Maybe that's why they waited. Maybe they didn't want it to come out at the same time as the last Terminator Dark Fate movie.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's get off of that. You tell us about a pickled Seth Rogen.
Not even joking. So, An American Pickle sees Seth Rogen head up this new HBO Max original movie. It's based on a New Yorker article written by SNL alumnus Simon Rich, who also had some involvement in the writing of the Pixar movie Inside Out. Here, he also delivers the screenplay, where a burly, hardworking 30-something named Herschel Greenbaum from the Eastern European country of Schlupsk falls into a pickle vat and is seemingly brined for 100 years before waking up in modern-day Brooklyn and finding his unmotivated, spineless, great-great-grandson Ben, also played by Seth Rogen. This kind of feels like a Seth Rogen comedy, but with fewer jokes. It kind of starts to veer towards a liberal political message about freedom of speech and political correctness, neither of which was I really on board with, because it kind of didn't fit the tone. The tone of which was very cold and kind of winter set, which didn't really do much to move this into a kind of bright and breezy comedy territory. I really wanted a kind of fun Encino Man, or in the UK, California Man, as it was called, type of movie where the two Greenbaum men actually help each other to become better people, kind of more comfortable in their own skin, both of which they have their own, faults as they kind of move forward. So instead, the script kind of alienates the two characters, which it's really weird because it kind of sets up a rivalry, which doesn't really work for me. It only makes both of the characters appear kind of more ignorant, and kind of self-obsessed, which is kind of a shame because you want Seth Rogen to be kind of likable. Key moments I enjoyed here were some of the more kind of New York in-jokes into the kind of culture of New York, and the score with themes composed by the always amazing Michael Giacchino, which has a very, like most of his work, John Williams kind of undertone to the score. It's a really rich, almost kind of Star Wars-y like score, which was really surprising. And I remember listening to it thinking, is this John Williams? And then it came up Michael Giacchino at the end, and I was kind of, not surprised, because it's that's kind of his calling card these days. The minor laughs to be had here are probably for the very New York setting, and there'll be smaller sides and observations that will make New Yorkers chuckle, such as the foibles of Williamsburg Brooklynite elitism, driving Herschel Greenbaum's pickle business into an Instagram sensation on Bedford Avenue. However, for this reason, An American Pickle was perhaps best suited as an article over a few pages in a locally relevant magazine, where those in the know could smirk and chin stroke as they board the Uptown L train at 7:30 a.m. But as a movie, sadly for me, this is a miss. So, coming up next, Phil, what do we have in Video Store Corner this week?
For this Video Store Corner, we have the 1994 classic, True Lies.
Jaina, jump down! Come on! Jump down! Get down!
Never has Arnie said "get down"
or
the word
so
"down"
much. In that scene.
Yeah.
Get down! Get down!
He screams at everyone to get down. Get down! Even the helicopter scene. Yeah. What's this one about, Phil? If you haven't seen this, Phil's going to give you the rundown.
I'm going to give you a quick synopsis then. All right, okay. So a fearless, globe-trotting, terrorist battling secret agent has his life turned upside down when he discovers his wife might be having an affair with a used car salesman, while terrorists smuggle nuclear warheads into the United States.
There you go. Smuggle and struggle.
Smuggle.
Oh, primary cast. Who is the primary cast here this movie?
We have Arnie, of course, playing Harry Tasker.
By the way, just for people in the US, in the UK, we call Arnold Schwarzenegger Arnie, which you don't. And it's because for some reason in like the tabloids in the UK years ago, we called him Arnie. So we will refer to him as Arnie. You call him Arnold, but we will be calling him Arnie for the remainder of this podcast and possibly the rest of our lives.
So Arnold, or however you want to say it, Arnold Schwarzenegger, play the lead. Jamie Lee Curtis plays his wife. Tom Arnold plays his. I can't. Do we find out where they work, like who they work for? We don't, do they? They just work for the government. No,
it's the Omega Agency.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So Tom Arnold's his like partner basically.
Yeah. Gib.
And we have Art Malik, who plays the main terrorist,
as seen on BBC's Holby City.
Holby City. It's so weird,
as an anaesthetist.
Yeah. And the cast is great.
Oh, Bill Paxton as Simon,
Paxton's in it,
the used car salesman pretending to be a secret agent who lures Arnold Schwarzenegger's wife, Helen, and gives her a bit of excitement that she's been looking for, because obviously she believes that Harry, her husband, is some kind of salesman of some kind, like maybe like a photocopy salesman or something. So he's always away for business on sales conferences and stuff. Yeah. But actually he's a spy, and she's looking for more kind of fun and excitement in her life and in her marriage. They've been married for a long time, 17 years. And so she kind of falls for Simon, Bill Paxton, who is absolutely incredible in this movie.
He is good.
Oh God, I'm pathetic. I got a tiny dick. I mean,
he just plays Bill Paxton. It's amazing. It's like
the moment when he says, "I have a tiny dick," and then pisses himself at the same time. It's just amazing. It's pathetic. It's tiny. And then he pisses himself. Tia Carrera as Juno, the villain of the piece, alongside Art Malik.
Yeah.
She's great in this. Loved her in the Wayne's World movies as well.
Yeah.
She comes across really well. Elijah Dushku as Dana, the daughter of Harry and Helen, and Grant Heslov, who is Faisal, the other guy in the van, who I think is also amazing in this. He was in a ton of stuff, but he actually went on to become an Oscar winner. He works with George Clooney. He does all of George Clooney, produces a lot of George Clooney's movies.
Oh, okay.
He also went on to produce Argo and won the Oscar.
Ooh.
So for best movie. And then of course the one and only Charlton Heston as Spencer Trilby. Spencer Trilby. So there are two cast members of Wayne's World in this.
Yeah. And yeah, they are. Although they both never share the screen at the same time in both films.
No, I think we only see Charlton Heston like once or twice.
Yeah.
Gordon Street. I once knew a girl on Gordon Street.
So that's your primary cast. I mean, that's an incredible cast, isn't it?
Yeah.
According
Did we
to
mention directed by James Cameron? We haven't yet.
Directed by James fucking Cameron, and that is officially his middle name, by the way. Fucking, if you didn't know that. I mean, expertly directed as well. This movie looks like it was made 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It genuinely looks. It's faultless.
It's action movie making at its finest.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Without
a nice kind of like taut storyline, as in not an epic story for him.
No.
You know, he's used to. He has very expansive filmmaking. He can take a property and he can expand that into a franchise. We saw it with Aliens. We saw it with, off the back of Alien coming into Aliens and expanding it. We saw it with Terminator into Terminator 2: Judgment Day, the greatest sequel of all time.
Yeah.
We see it with Avatar. Titanic taking a simple disaster story and blowing that into quote unquote from the movie poster, the greatest romance of all time. This is an unusual James Cameron movie because it's very taut. It's not going for a franchise. It's not expanding anything. It's just telling a story.
Just what it is. It's just a great action film, and it's got the right mix of amazing set pieces, amazing stunts, action, comedy, and a bit of a little bit more heartfelt stuff as well.
Yeah,
I think it's just got it's perfect. I think.
One thing I didn't know is, in kind of doing some of the background research on this, is that this was actually based on a French movie.
It was
called La Totale.
Yeah, we could have put that in the remakes at the beginning.
We bloody well could have done. Who all got credit order on this movie as well. They got the three writers of that movie. Apparently Arnold saw this movie. His brother-in-law at the time showed him it in a hotel, and Arnold loved it so much that he took it to Jim Cameron, and he was like, "Jim, we got to make the movie. I got to shout, get down.
I want to fly in a jet.
I want to fly the Harrier jump jet." So there was that. I think the cast, like for me, the level of filmmaking, the script, and I read about the script. Apparently, the script, James Cameron wanted more jokes in there, and he got like 6 or 7 writers to add in a ton of jokes. Got the script back, looked at it, decided that it wasn't funny still, and then rewrote the entire script.
Yeah, and
included only 2 of those jokes into the movie. So this is I think it's such a good film. It's one of my favorites actually in the 90s when I was a kid. I loved this film so much, and since then it's disappeared, hasn't it? You haven't really seen it on TV. It actually debuted on DVD, but it never came to Blu-ray.
It's not out on Blu-ray.
No, true story.
And neither is The Abyss.
Yeah, apparently Cameron is also, alongside making like 5 Avatar sequels or whatever, 4 Avatar sequels, he's also he's also going through the restoration process for those 2 movies.
They need to. I mean, why hasn't it come out on?
Because he wants to oversee everything, and in between,
this is like 1994.
The record deep sea dive to the bottom of the Marianas Trench to making Avatar.
He's got other things to do, isn't he?
Yeah. I think he's absolutely control freak, and for the right reasons. But So I think it's going to be a long time till that happens.
Do you know what made me laugh though? When I told you I was watching this, and then we decided that we should use it as what we were going to watch in Video Store Corner. I said to you, guess what I'm watching? And I was actually like really, really impressed. I sent Miles a picture, and this could have been from any action film, but it was just a picture of a helicopter over like a compound. No characters on screen, just a faraway shot of a helicopter over a compound. And I said to Miles, guess what I'm watching? And he immediately said, True Lies.
No, what did I immediately say?
Well, you said, Better Aziz! Which is one of the best bits in the film.
It is. Can we talk about that? Can we talk about that moment just for a second? So Art Malik is this kind of Bin Laden light type character who's made his way to the US.
It's a bit like properly stereotypical sort of
terrorist. It's very 90s on the nose terrorist, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he's made his way to the US with a kind of small army. And there's a scene where he's got a nuclear weapon and he's kind of burying it under the ground. He drapes it in a US flag, covers it in concrete, and it's all being filmed by one of his men in his militia. And then he starts to do this huge speech about death to America and blah 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 blah. And he goes on and on and on. And then we start to see a view from inside the camera, the kind of small camcorder, which incidentally was also used to film Project Power on Netflix. And anyway, as we start to see inside the camera, we see the battery alert come on and it starts flashing. And then we see like a close up of the face of the camera operator who's holding the camera, and like the beads of sweat like dripping down his face, shaking. And then the camera just switches off. But Art Malik continues doing his speech to the camera, and the camera operator continues to hold the now off camera to his eye.
He can see in his mind that he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know whether to just carry on or tell him that the battery's died.
And we've all been there, like when your boss is telling you to do something and you fucked up. And you're like, do I just continue on with this and just pretend that, the camera's later down the line, the camera's broken and try and get away with it? Or do I tell him? And he just, instead of saying stop, he just slowly kind of shakily lowers the camera in front of him. and Art Malik's like, what are you doing? And he's like, Badr Aziz! And Art Malik just goes, get another, you moron.
Yeah.
And he just runs off. He's like, they're in the truck. He's like, I don't care where they are, just get one.
He has a really bad day, that guy, though. Because you know it's the same guy later on, don't you? I'm pretty sure.
In the helicopter?
When they're in the van on the bridge, and there's three of them in that van.
Oh, the driver.
And he's the driver. He's the driver. And it's teetering over the edge, and they just break, and then they're all laughing, and it's all jovial. It's like, shit, we're going to live. This is amazing. And then a seagull lands on the bonnet of the truck and sends them over the edge.
Like,
do you know what? And I love
that van fucking explodes.
It properly goes.
Immediately.
But I love it because they're all laughing, and the minute that the seagull lands on it, he just stops laughing and just this amazing comedy face.
What I also love about that scene is that just before that, this is, by the way, there are two kind of Navy jets that are taking out these trucks that are leaving from this detonation site to head into mainland Florida. And these two Navy jets are kind of, peppering them with small arms fire, and they're kind of firing back. And there's one guy pulls out a rocket launcher, and he forgets that one of his friends is behind him, and he fires it inside the truck, and the guy goes flying out.
I think he just fires it backwards by accident because his mate tries to tell him. He's like, "No."
It's like the exit of the rocket.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. So it blows him out. The rocket goes off but misses, and he goes flying out. And out the front windscreen, and also it then cuts to our friend the cameraman who's driving the truck, and he's obviously extremely upset that their friends just died, but he's also smoking, like his hair is smoking, and he's like all blackened, and
and he really violently runs that guy over. It's like quite a violent film, isn't it?
Yeah. A lot of people die in this movie.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis kills more people in this movie than Arnold Schwarzenegger does.
I might have just been making this up but I think when I was reading the trivia, which I'll come to in a minute, but I've got a feeling, and I didn't include this one, but the body count in this is 90.
Oh, okay. Where does that sit in terms of general James Cameron? Well, I guess a lot of people died on the Titanic.
Yeah, I
Sorry
mean,
for laughing.
Yeah, sorry, that's not funny. But when you look at the body count for Rambo 4,
Yep.
there's 254 deaths in
that. Is that the one with him on the back of the Jeep for 30 minutes firing a heavy machine gun?
Yeah, the minigun thing,
popping people's heads like watermelon.
Yeah,
limbs just flying off.
254 in that.
254. Wow.
Whoa.
That actually reminds me of the joke in Hot Shots Part 2. Is it Part 2? Where they go into the village. Charlie Sheen goes into the village, and he's got like the LMG under his arm, and he's just firing it.
Yeah, from the hip,
from the hip,
waist.
Yeah, and you just see like the kill count, and it's like RoboCop 1, like RoboCop 2. Like
yeah, Terminator. That's right.
It's a bit like that.
Yeah.
There's another scene in this that reminded me of Hot Shots. I wonder if you can guess what it is. It's a physical comedy scene, like a kind of really out there, like Chaplin-esque, I don't know, like old school physical comedy scene that is also in Hot Shots.
I don't know.
Okay. It's the scene towards the end when Dana, Harry Tasker's daughter, jumps down onto the Harrier, and he picks her up off the crane, and she's like hanging on the front. And then Art Malik decides to just jump straight off, lands on top of the jet.
Oh, and slides back.
And then he decides to kind of roll the plane and like flies it forward. And Art Malik does like a backflip in the air off the top of the jet and lands balls first onto the wing at the back.
Yeah, like the fin of yeah, it's a
just
bit
crushes both of his balls. That exact scene happens in Hot Shots with with Topper Harley's dad's plane. As it's crashing, he gets out and he fucking lands balls first on the, I can't remember what it's called, but that upright wing on the back of a jet.
Yeah, like the fin or whatever.
The fin, yeah, lands
tail.
Balls first on the tail fin, and I was just like, that's Hot Shots right there.
Do you want to hear some trivia?
Oh, before you do that, can you guess what this movie's Rotten Tomatoes score was?
No.
Where would you put it? Where would you say what do you think the critics thought of this movie? Don't Google it. I will hear your keys on the keyboard.
I really don't know, because I don't really care what the critics think, even though we review films. I don't think it's...
Fuck the critics. We are the critics.
I just don't think... I don't know. You always... I don't know. Go on, tell me.
Just give me a number. Just give me a number. 7. You think you got 7%?
No, percent-wise. Sorry, we're doing Rotten Tomatoes, aren't we? Yeah. Is it low? Is it stupidly low? 64%.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64? No, that's wrong. But close. Oh. It actually got 71%, which I think is really fucking low. I think this is a great, great, great movie.
Yeah.
And it deserves way higher than that.
Yeah, definitely.
Isn't that crazy?
That is.
Sorry, go on. You were going to say, so trivia time.
Some IMDb trivia. So the amazing scene where Jamie Lee Curtis is trying to get out of the limo where the driver's dead on the bridge, and Arnie and Tom Arnold are in a helicopter.
Want one? Have two.
Trying to pull her out of there. Do you know that was Jamie Lee Curtis that did that?
I read about this.
Yeah. Which I think is pretty amazing, because that's a great stunt. It was good.
I was watching that. This is what I'm talking about this movie feeling like it's recent, because this stunt, you see her from like inside the helicopter down, and she's hanging on the bottom of the helicopter with like Schwarzenegger holding her, and you see her face as the chopper flies over the car, over the bridge, and then over the ocean, and you can see it all behind. So good. Incredible.
Yeah.
Like they nailed it. And actually, I read that she refused to let a stunt person do this.
Yeah, that's what.
And it was her birthday, the day she filmed it.
On that day. Yeah.
Yeah. If honestly, when I was a kid, you kind of watch this stuff and you think, oh yeah, cool. But like watching this as a grown ass man and knowing, how much work they have to put in these things. We've interviewed stunt performers on this and so on. That was a fucking amazing stunt, and they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it.
Yeah,
great shout.
Although earlier on in the film, and I did notice this when he's in the compound and he's breaking out and he's fighting some guys, Arnie. Mm-hmm. The stunt double, I can really tell like it's a stunt double, like doing some pretty simple, what looks like relatively simple combat like stuff.
Yeah,
it cuts to the stunt double, and it's quite noticeable actually.
What, Arnold's stunt double? Yeah, I mean, I would say this actually has a case for the better of the Arnold stunt doubles from any of his movies. Total Recall being the example, when he jumps on that train and you see clear view that it's not Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
But in this, they did a lot of kind of facial remapping. And even, for example, when you see the Harrier flying, and you can see it's a real Harrier when it's flying into Miami, you can see that they've mapped Arnold Schwarzenegger's face onto the pilot.
Onto the pilot, yeah.
Also, the horse and motorbike chase scene in downtown Washington.
Yeah.
Where he jumps into the fountain and runs through the fountain inside of it. That's him.
That is him. You can see
it. Yeah. That's him.
I knew he did the horse riding stuff, which is pretty cool. But then it makes me laugh because he could do the horse riding like into a fountain, but he can't like punch a guy in the face.
No,
without being a stunt.
I thought you were going to say he can't punch a horse.
He can't punch a horse in the face. More trivia. So apparently, Arnie's biggest challenge for this film was not doing all the physical stunts, because he did some of them. But it was dancing the tango.
Dun 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 dun.
The final scene. Apparently, he took dancing lessons and he rehearsed the scene for 6 months. That final dance scene.
Do you know why? Do you know why he wanted to be so good at it?
Because he wanted to be as good as Al Pacino. Scent of a Woman.
Oh. Hoorah! Hoorah! Oh. You can dance the tango. You can eat the octopus in the fucking ears. You see the 8-ball hemorrhages. Hoorah! I'm gonna dance the fucking tango. I'm gonna dance the tango.
Are you all right today, Miles?
We've all got a little Al Pacino in
us. According to the Guinness Book of Records, this is the first movie to have a production budget of $100 million. And it made
Dr. Evil.
$100 million. And it made it the most expensive movie at the time, breaking the record of also James Cameron's Terminator 2. But then it lost this record, link back to, was it the last episode of the Movie Math podcast? Lost the record the following year to Miles?
96.
95.
96. Oh, 95.
What film did we watch that was set in 95 that had a very large budget?
Waterworld.
Waterworld, yes. So
Thailand is not a myth. I have seen it.
It was beaten the next year to the highest budget.
Wow.
This was also the first Hollywood movie to be released in Vietnam since the Vietnam War. Which is quite interesting.
Okay.
Jodie Foster was originally cast as Helen Tasker.
Okay.
But she was forced to turn down the role.
No, Jamie Lee Curtis nails this. I think she's ever been better than in this movie.
This is interesting, though. So Tom Arnold's role of Albert Gibson.
Yeah, Gib. Hey, Helen, it's Gib.
There's 4 absolutely great people that were considered for the role.
Go on.
Steve Guttenberg.
Nah.
John Goodman.
Nah.
Bill Murray. Dan Aykroyd. Now, of all of those, I would say Dan Aykroyd would have felt the best for that.
Aykroyd.
Guttenberg could have done a pretty good job of that.
No, I don't think he could. No, I don't think he could. Too soft. You need someone that's a little bit cynical. You need someone. He doesn't have that cynicism, whereas Aykroyd, cynical as fuck, also knows his shit. He'd be throwing out all of the acronyms,
jargon lines as well.
Yeah.
No, he would. Yeah, you're great. You're right. He would have done a good job.
That Tom Arnold crushed this. Apparently, when he actually auditioned just to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger and James Cameron. He was kind of auditioning for a joke.
Yeah.
And apparently they did a kind of a kind of chemistry test with Schwarzenegger as part of that audition, and they just got on like an absolute house on fire. But the studio didn't want him. They didn't want Tom Arnold. And James Cameron actually hung his hat on Tom Arnold and said, we want him. And the reason why the studio didn't want him is because he was going through at the time a very high profile public eye divorce with Roseanne Barr.
Yeah.
Who obviously he starred with on the Roseanne show in a kind of smaller role. So that was a kind of big driver for the studio. They were really concerned. He was kind of outspoken about that relationship, and they went to bat for him, and they got him in the movie. And I actually think a lot of there's a lot of great chemistry between Schwarzenegger and Tom Arnold in this.
Yeah,
it's weird, Arnold and Arnold, you could say. But I think there's also some really great moments, like the scene where Schwarzenegger first finds out that Helen is kind of cheating on him, and he's kind of crossing the street, and then he gets run over by a bus, and then Tom Arnold's there to kind of look after him and console him, and Tom Arnold, who states that he's been married 3 times, he got cheated on in his second marriage and blah blah blah. He's actually kind of happy. He's like, "Welcome to the club, buddy." Like you're finally getting cheated on. It's just like this kind of camaraderie thing. A very lived-in character. And then he starts talking about Tom Arnold starts talking about his wife who took everything in the divorce, like a really messy divorce. He's like, "What kind of a sick bitch takes the ice cube tray out of the freezer?" and apparently, it's a true story, and Roseanne actually took the ice cube tray out of their freezer when she moved out.
Jesus.
And he was telling Jim Cameron this on the set, and Cameron laughed at it, thought it was so funny that he wanted him. Yeah, he was like, "We've got to put it in." So a lot of that scene that Tom Arnold is talking about is actually real, like his real marriage.
Bloody hell. I've got one final bit of trivia. The US government supplied 3 Marine Harriers and their pilots for a fee of $100,736,000.
Damn.
Well, that's $2,410 an hour. It sounds pretty cheap, really.
It was worth it. It was worth
94.
it. Now it would be that they'd spend 3 times that, just put in a CGI Harrier in that would look shit, and you'd just be like, "That doesn't exist." It's not even there. They're just looking at a golf ball.
Oh, I've just remembered in the film as well, talking about the Harrier, when Arnie appears in the building and then it peppers all the terrorists with the bullets.
Yeah.
And then he fires. Oh, the end when he says "you're fired" and fires Art Malik off on a missile that he's attached to, which is great anyway. But it's the fact that he fires him through the building and into the other helicopter, which is being
full of terrorists.
It's like, yes.
I don't think so. So just to go back to this point, so I was going to talk about this, but
sorry.
So Art Malik falls off of the jet as Arnie rolls it. He falls onto the missile, onto the front of the rocket, and he's kind of suspended by his like backpack or whatever, isn't he? Or his jacket or whatever.
Yeah, or gun strap or whatever it is. Yeah.
Gun strap, like on the rocket. And then, as you say, Arnold turns to him and says the immortal line, "You're fired," and then fucking fires him through the building and into the helicopter. And we see Art Malik as well through the air screaming, "Ah!"
Yeah.
I don't think now this might create a global war. I think that's the best Arnie one-liner of all time.
Yeah, I mean, I think you might be right.
"You're fired," and fires a man on a rocket through a building into a helicopter.
But he's also not his boss.
No, you're right.
Being a terrorist isn't a job, is it?
No, it's not. It doesn't really. It's not. It's not the most tangible of.
It's still bloody great though.
It's fucking amazing and hilarious as well.
Yeah,
you're fired, and fires him on a rocket. Apparently, that was one of the jokes that was left in the script from the original joke writers.
Oh right,
kind of one of the two. But wow, what an amazing way to dispatch a terrorist. Speaking of Arnold Schwarzenegger one-liners, it's not so much a one-liner, but what about that weird moment when the nuclear explosion has just gone off. I mean, maybe you can explain this scene.
I know what you're going to say. So it's the bit where he's just reunited with his wife, and the nuclear explosion's gone off.
I mean, she nearly died. She
nearly died.
Yeah,
they're having a romantic moment. They have a kiss while the nuclear explosion's going on, and then he's got to go to rescue their daughter.
He's kidnapped.
Yeah, he's just found out that their daughter's been kidnapped. He needs to go rescue her. So Jamie Lee Curtis turns around and goes to Arnie, "Go to work," and he just goes, "Okay, bye," and then runs off. He just runs off like a kid that's been told he can go and play,
groggily, doesn't he? Yeah. Okay, bye.
Okay,
go
bye.
Kill some people now. Okay, bye.
Like he's just been told with his mum that he's allowed to go out and play with his mate.
It's like he's like waiting. He's like, please, mum, can I go out? Can I go out? Can I go out? And she goes, go do your thing. Go to work, honey. Okay, bye. And he just like runs off.
It's amazing.
It's such a weird moment.
Odd.
Unintentionally funny.
Odd is the way to put it.
It is really odd. It's really odd. It would, like, if it was in a spoof kind of movie, it would be funny, but in this, it was kind of just weird. But I don't know if they were going for laughs when they left it in or what. I'm just
glad it's there.
Me too.
What a film.
Speaking of which, by the way, the visual effects in this were seamless. Like the Harrier jet taking off, like landing on the road and then at the end, with Dana on the front of it and it runs into the police car. Like a lot of that is visual effects.
It all looks
from 1994.
Yeah.
And it was actually nominated for an Academy Award for visual effects.
Yeah.
It's an Academy Award nominated movie. But it lost to Forrest Gump, probably rightly, because that was the CGI and that was the visual effects that were amazing. But just what a great movie from 1994. One other thing, we never see Spencer Trilby again, Charlton Heston.
No.
Like what? Like we just see him in this kind of cameo role like twice. How did he lose his eye? He's got like a little kind of Nick Fury like eye patch.
Who knows?
Weird. I'm going to say Space Cat, although you might not get that reference if you haven't seen Captain Marvel. Space Cat scratched his eye out.
That's right.
But yeah. So where does this film sit with you in terms of your favourite Arnold Schwarzenegger movies?
Oh, way up there.
Yeah.
Way up there.
Top 5?
Easy, yeah. I'd say...
They didn't play this at the all-nighter that we went to see. We did an Arnold Schwarzenegger all-nighter at Prince Charles Cinema in London.
It was a bit long, though, wasn't it?
It's 2 hours 20 or something, isn't it?
I mean, we did watch 6 Arnie films overnight. Can you remember the running order? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try and remember. Commando.
Oh, was it Commando first?
Started with Commando.
Great start. I lied. Running Man?
Yeah, I think it was Running Man.
That's dry, isn't it? The Running Man.
Yeah.
Oh, wasn't it Predator next?
No, I think it was Running Man, then Predator.
Then Total
Recall.
Then
T1.
T1, then T2. Yeah.
We walked out of there, we were watching T2 at like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah. I was so happy to see him get dunked into that molten metal at the end.
The thumbs up. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like giving us the thumbs up. Like, you've done it.
You did well. Yeah.
You're the biggest freaking nerds in the world. Now get out of here and go and buy a McDonald's breakfast. I had to go to Wembley that day. I had to get up, go to Wembley to watch Spurs lose 2-0 or something.
I went home and slept.
Or like 4-1 or something. I can't remember what it was. I blacked it out of my memory. Yeah, you went home and slept. Yeah. But this would have been great. I think, for me, this is definitely top 5. It's possibly top 2.
Yeah.
It's possibly top 2.
I think.
Is it better than Predator? I don't know. Terminator 2 for me is number 1, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, Terminator 2 is number 1. Easy.
It's better than Predator. It is. But is it?
I think
come on, do it.
I think it's better than Predator.
You are one ugly mother.
I don't know, because I always see like Arnie's films as a bit different, because you've got like the comedy, like his 90s comedy, like Last Action Hero and Junior and.
But when you're a kid, you never think of like the action movies as being like different
No.
in terms of, like Terminator 2, they're all kind of serious.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But even when you watch them now, there are elements of comedy and like humor and
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Whereas they have a little bit more diversity. But when you're a kid, you're just like, oh, I'm watching an Arnold Schwarzenegger film. They're all the same.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not Junior.
Not Junior.
Junior. When Arnold Schwarzenegger gives birth.
Oh god. This is the most talk about bad CGI and like most horrific nightmare fuel. Go and watch the baby Arnie scene from
Dada.
Mama.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. It's absolutely horrific.
Thanks for reminding me.
Oh god.
That's going to keep me awake at night.
Yeah.
Mama.
It's so bad.
So that was True Lies. Go check that one out because it's a stone cold classic. It's amazing. It's so good. It's funny. It holds up to this day. And if you hadn't seen it in a long time, it's worth a rewatch 100%. If you've never seen it and you like action movies, you like kind of comedy action movies, check it out. It's really, really good. On next week's podcast, we'll be bringing you another slice of movie and TV related podcast fun. But before then, please follow our Facebook and Instagram accounts at MovieMouth Podcast and hit subscribe, or give us a nice 5-star review on your podcast player of choice. There's just one last thing to say, Phil.
Yes.
Bye, Phil.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, Arnie, you should probably go to work.
Okay. Bye.